Hello students, continuing our discussion on the threads and processes. Today what we are going to discuss is a very special topic called POSIX threads, right? So we're going to see how to create POSIX threads and how to manage, how to operate them in a Linux environment. Just to refresh a little bit from the last session, what's a thread? As you know, threads and processes are the procedures or the functions which are running in parallel. Specifically, thread is an independent stream of instruction which can be scheduled to run by the operating system, right? When I say scheduled to run, it means that operating system will decide which thread is ready to run or which process is ready to run, and then it will kind of give the processor to that thread to start running, right? It's a function which runs independently from the main program. So here the main important factor is the parallelism, right? So all the threads are running in parallel, right? So multi-threaded programs are those which run several threads simultaneously. We will see, of course, how the threads are executed and see a practical implementation of that also. A thread exists within a process and uses the process resources. So as we have seen in the last session, all the code, the files and the memory area, the address space, everything is shared by all the threads under one process, right? The only thing that differs is the stack and the register values, right? So threads only duplicate the essential resources which it needs to be running independently. Otherwise, all the other resources are common to different threads running in the same process, right? A thread will die or if the parent process dies. So if I create a thread inside a parent, and if the parent is the program terminates, then all the threads that are created inside that process will automatically terminate, right? A thread you can think of as a lightweight because most of the overhead which is required to generate a parallel running program is already been accomplished through the creation of the process. So thread creation is much less clumsy and much less overhead than creating a new process, right? So what are the advantages and disadvantages of thread? The advantages are three advantages I have listed down here. Of course, the overhead is less for creating a thread. Then one process can serve multiple clients, so you can have one process which is running. You can execute several threads, one thread for each client. Suppose you are running a file server program, then you can have a one process which is serving the files and multiple clients and each client having one thread, right? And switching between the threads is easier for the operating system because the overhead is less and the things that the threads share is much less. Okay, writing multi-threaded programs requires a little careful thought. So the last three are the disadvantages. So it needs a very careful thought where the parallelism and whether the programs can run in parallel, whether the threads can run in parallel. So you have to think about that a lot and then write a multi-thread program very carefully, right? There should not be any variables which are globally accessed by multiple threads at the same time. Okay, so there are a lot many problems which you need to tackle when you're writing a multi-threaded program, right? It is more difficult to debug than a single threaded program. So when multiple threads are running in parallel, it's rather tricky to debug a multi-threaded program, right? And on a single processor machine, creating several threads need not necessarily improve the performance. Yeah, so that's also one of the disadvantages um, of a thread. So what is the thread programming model? There are three models under execution of threads. One is pipeline model, which means that threads are created and they are run one after another, right? So it is like a pipeline. So all the threads they do not essentially run in parallel, but they run one after another, right? So that's the pipeline model. Not very useful, but some of the applications do use that. Then there's a master-slave model, which means that one master is created as a thread, but that master only creates slave threads and gets the work done from the slaves. Okay, so the master thread's job is only to coordinate between the different slave threads, allocate the work to them, and get the work done, and accumulate the work done by the slave threads, right? And the third model is equal worker, which is also called a peer model, in which all the threads work simultaneously. There is no master-slave relationship, right? So, to give an example, typically, for example, suppose you want to multiply a very large matrix, right? Then, as you know, matrix multiplication you can do it in parallel, right? So one column of one matrix and row of another matrix have to be multiplied. Okay, so that can be given to one slave. Then the second column and second row multiplication can be given to another slave, and so on and so forth, right? So all the slaves are loaded with multiplying a column with a multiplying of a row, and the master thread only collects the data from all the slaves and generates the final resultant matrix, right? So that is typically master slave model. Peer model or equal worker model is essentially that in which there is no direct what you call correlation between the different slaves which are working. Okay, not slaves, the different threads which are working. Okay, so typically in a real life example, if you go to a bank, right, then different counters which are working. So each counter is able to access independent of each other. Okay, and there is no dependency of those counters, so you can go to any counter and get the work done. So this is similar to equal worker model, which means that these threads are only kind of workers which do the job, and they do not share any relationship, or do not share any data with other workers working at the same level, right? So that's the equal worker model. So both master slave and equal worker models are popular in different applications, right? Okay, let's come back to POSIX thread, or what is called as P thread in short. POSIX stands for Portable Operating System Interface, right? For Unix. So that's a very old standard. When the Unix system came into existence at that time, people wanted some standard, because a lot many versions of Unix came. Lot many versions of Linux also came into existence, and if you write one multi-threaded program on one version, it must work exactly same way in the other Unix system or other Linux system. And if that has to happen, there has to be some kind of common platform on which the multi-threaded application is written. And for that purpose, this POSIX kind of standard was built by IEEE. IEEE, as you know, is the international body of Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, right? So they generated a standard called POSIX 1003.1c, and this standard specifies the complete implementation of how to create threads, how to manage threads, how to terminate threads, and how to share the data between the threads. Okay, so everything is specified. So if you are going to write any POSIX thread application which is compliant to this, then you are guaranteed that it will work, that application will work on another Linux installation or any other Unix version. Yeah, so that's the advantage of complying to a standard. Yeah, so pthreads are nothing but they are the C language programming type. Pthread is a type, okay, and it is defined in the header file called pthread.h, which we need to include if you are going to write a POSIX thread application, right? We are going to write an example application. I will show you that in the next slides. Pthreads are best used with programs that can be organized into discrete independent tasks. So the first and foremost requirement of writing a pthread application is that in your application you must understand what is the parallelism. Okay, so I will give you an example. So how pthread management is done? In the main program, in the main function, you have a single default thread, right? Pthread create is a function, is a C function, which can create another new thread and make it executable, right? So please understand, when you create a new executable, it is not exactly a function, but it is a separately independently executing program. Yeah, it is similar to as if you have created another main which is executing in parallel with your main. Yeah? Only thing is, it is not a main function, it is a thread function, right? The maximum number of threads that can be created is depend on the process, right? It depends on the your Linux version or the capability of your computer on which you are running, the memory available, and so many other things, right? So otherwise, technically, there is no limitation how many maximum number of threads you can create. Once the thread is created, the threads are peers, and they may create other threads. They keep on, and this process can keep on increasing the number of threads without any limit. So what is the function to create a thread? The function is called pthread underscore create, right? The parameters are, there are 4 parameters. The first parameter is called pthread t, pthread underscore t. Follow my cursor here. Pthread underscore t. This is a data type. This is not the name of a argument. This is a data type of the type thread. Yeah, and this star thread is a pointer to the identifier of the created thread. Okay, so when you create a thread, at that time, this is the pointer which will be populated by this function and will be returned to you. So after this thread is created, in your function or in your program, you can identify this thread with this name. Yeah, so whatever name you are given, okay, that variable will identify this thread, right? Then there are certain attributes which are to be given to the pthread. For example, if you normally give you if you give it null, then it is created with the default attributes. Okay, so normally you give it null here, right? Then this is a thread function. This is a function which you want to execute as a thread. Okay, so that pointer has to be given here. If once we study the example, then you will understand this better. For right now, just understand here what exactly is the structure of the pthread create. Okay, and the fourth argument is the function argument that needs to be passed to the pthread. Okay, so whatever argument has to be passed to the pthread, that is given as a fourth argument. And this is, as you know, this pthread create returns integer, and this integer is returned 0 if it is success, or if it is pthread create returns error, which means that it is not able to create a thread, then it will return a some other error code, right? Pthread can be, suppose for example main program calls a pthread, okay, generates a pthread. Then suppose the main program wants to wait until the child thread is finished and returned, right? If that is the requirement, then the main function you need to execute pthread join. Yeah, so this pthread join function will make the main program wait until the thread which is specified here is completely executes and returns. Yeah, so this is crudely same as calling a function, calling a normal C function, but not exactly same. Yeah, so why it is not exactly same, we'll study when we study the RTOS. Yeah, so I will make you understand what exactly is the difference between these, right? So the first argument here is the thread on which the main function has to wait. The second argument is the pointer to the return value from the thread. Okay, so if the thread returns some value, then there will be a pointer to the pointer. And of course, return 0 is for success. So when the thread returns at the time, this function will also return, indicating 0 as the success value. Yeah. Threads should always be joined, otherwise a thread might keep on running even though the main thread is already terminated. So main program terminates, is completely finished, but the threads will remain in the system and will keep on working. So this may sound a little bit odd to you if you are thinking thread as a normal C function. Yeah, if you are thinking of it is something like in a main program, suppose you call printf. Yeah, then obviously main program is calling printf and it is waiting until the printf finishes job and returns. Yeah, and after returning, when the main when the main function ends, at that time printf is not running. Yeah, so this is like a normal function call, but here we are talking about creating a thread and the thread returning a value to the main function. So the bullet number 5 here, which is mentioned here, is if the thread is not joined, then the main function will terminate. After the closing curly brace, it will terminate and it will finish, but the thread which is created, it will keep on running. Okay, and then since there is no main function which can control that thread function will continue running unless you probably go and kill that process separately. Yeah, so that's a different functionality altogether, right? How to terminate the threads? There are different ways of terminating. Number one, it can complete and return just like a function, right? Number two, pthread exit. If this function is called, then also thread can exit. Of course, there is a different thing that happen with all these four things. I will explain briefly below. Pthread cancel, which means that the thread will be aborted, okay, and it will immediately return. Yeah, and just a normal exit function, which means that the complete all the threads and the parent process is terminated, right? The pthread exit routine, which is most commonly used in all the threads, is called after the thread has completed the work and no longer required to exist, right? If the main program finishes before the threads finish, then the other threads will continue to be executing if the pthread exists method exists in that call. Yeah, so if the thread function call has a pthread exit at the end, it means that even if the parent process terminates, keep running this thread process. That's the indication we give to the operating system, right? One thing of caution, pthread exit does not close files. Okay, so it might so happen that in the main program you open a file, right? Then in the pthread in the thread program you continue operate on the file and execute pthread exit, but the pthread exit will not close the files. Yeah, normally when you write a main program and when you exit the main program, all the files which are opened by the main, they are closed. Yeah, but in case of pthread, this does not happen. So that's why it is a word of caution that cleanup must be kept in mind. Okay, so this is example, a small example of pthread. See here, we are including pthread.h, and these are just a normal h files which we have used in our previous in the DSA when we wrote programs for C. Okay, so stdio.h and stdlib.h, and I'm defining one variable here, not variable, it's a hash defined, number of threads equal to 5. Yeah, now this is a thread. Okay, this is a parallel running program. Okay, and this is the main program. So let's understand what is the thread. I am defining integer called thread ID, TID, and whatever pointer is coming to me, right, coming to this thread, I'm converting that into integer because I want to print it. Yeah, then I printf hello world, it's me, thread number so and so. So if thread ID I get as 0, then it will print 0. If I get as 1, it will print 1. If I get a 2, I'll print 2, and so on and so forth, right? So I expect to whatever threads I generate, okay, I pass on the number to this thread, right? And then this thread will print that number here with the message hello world, it's me, thread number so and so. Yeah, and then pthread exit, which means that continue running this even when the main program is finished, right? But since there is no loop here, this print pthread exit has actually speaking no meaning here. It will exit. Yeah. Okay, what is the main program? In the main program, I am declaring threads as an array of 5, and this array is of type pthread t. As I told you before in the previous this one, see here, pthread t is a data type. It is not a variable. Okay, so I have declared an array of that data type pthread t. Then I declare some integers for return value and a loop variable. So for t is equal to 0 to number of threads, I am creating so many number of threads, 5. Yeah, t++. I'm just printing one message that in main creating thread number so and so. So in main creating thread 0, thread 1, thread 2, thread 3, thread 4. So it will go from 0 to 4. Okay. So for t is equal to less than 5, this loop will continue 5 times. Okay. Then I execute pthread create, the function to create a thread, right? So what I'm doing here, I'm passing the address of the array variable, okay, indexed by t. So starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm giving the array variable here. So I'm creating the array of threads, and understand that the array consists of the thread IDs. Yeah. So I'm passing one by one thread ID for address of that ID here. Then the second parameter is null. Please refer here this. Okay. So this is the thread ID. Okay. Then this is the attribute I'm passing null. Then this is the function call, which is the thread, and then I'm giving an argument which is to be passed to this thread. Yeah. So see here, I'm passing t here, which means this number. So t is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. will be passed here, and the thread is print hello. So it is my thread. Okay. Understand how it is declared. It is declared as a void star, which means it is returning a void pointer. Correct? And I am putting that here because I need a void pointer here. Okay. Be careful about the data type, understanding the data type. Yeah. So if return value is 0, then it is success. If it is non-zero, then there is an error. So if return value is non-zero, RC stands for return code. So if return code is non-zero, then I am saying the error that pthread didn't execute correctly. If it is not, then it will come out and then say pthread exit. Yeah. So understand how the program is structured. There is a main program which is generating one by one 5 threads, and all the 5 threads are executing the same code. Okay, but they are running in parallel. They are running in parallel and along with the main. Yeah. So see the output. The output will be like this. So in main creating thread 0. So this is the output which is coming from here, this line. Okay, in main creating thread 0 because t is equal to 0, right? Then in main creating thread 1. So this is also coming from here. So as you can see here, it is executing asynchronously. There is no definite sequence that this will execute and then this and then again this and again this. Nothing like that. Yeah, they'll completely execute depending on how the operating system schedules them to run. Yeah. So see here. So in main creating thread 0, in main creating thread 1. Now this threads executes. The first thread executes and it says hello world, it's me, thread number 0. Yeah. So this thread which was created is executing here. Yeah. After that, in main creating thread 2. See here, in main creating thread 2. So this is just putting the statement that in main creating thread number so and so, and this is just hello world, it's me, thread number so and so. So see here, the threads and the main program, they are running in parallel. Yeah. And just to indicate which program is outputting what, I have given this in main, and of course the hello world message is coming from the thread. Yeah. So it main generates 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threads, and 5 threads execute, and then both the programs terminate. Yeah. So there are many examples you can write, you can yourself write. The main thing to be noted here is they are running in parallel. Okay, they are completely running in parallel. So right now this is just an example. So it is just putting a printf statement. Okay, but obviously threads are not created just to do something which is so simple as this. Yeah, threads are created to do something very important. For example, suppose you want to encrypt a file. Okay, read some file, encrypt it, and write the encrypted value to some other different file. So you can straightaway think of 3 threads. One thread is for, suppose the file is very big, suppose 100 MB. Yeah. So obviously you cannot read the whole 100 MB file in memory, encrypt it, and then write it back. So suppose you are doing it part by part. So you first read 10 kilobytes, okay, encrypt it and write 10 kilobytes. Then read the next 10 kilobytes, encrypt it, and write the next 10 kilobytes. If you are doing this program, okay, then obviously you can think of 3 threads. Okay, one thread for reading the file, another thread for encryption, and another thread for writing the file. Yeah, and these 3 things are running in parallel. So suppose the first 10,000 bytes, 10 kilobytes are read and given to the, so this reading job is done. It is given to the second thread which is doing encryption, and while it is doing encryption, the first thread is reading the next 10 kilobytes of data. Okay, the encryption thread encrypts those 10 kilobytes and gives it to the third thread, which is going to write the file onto a disk. Yeah, so once this is your established, then all the 3 things will run in parallel, right? The first thread will read the next 10 kilobytes of data. The encryption thread is encrypting the data which is already given by the read thread, and the write thread is already writing the data which is already encrypted last time. Okay, so all the 3 things will start running in parallel. So this is just one example which I have given, but you can think of many more examples where parallel running threads can be very useful in terms of the application, right? So that's all, students, for p-threads and their examples, right? So we'll discuss this in the next session, and next week's session will be based on virtual memory and memory management, that is on Linux. Okay, so bye guys.